Meta's new text-based app Threads has taken the internet by storm, and within just 5 days Threads hit the 100 million user milestone. That's not all. According to recent data, the app has already surpassed one-fifth of Twitter's weekly user base globally. And अगर आप थ्रेड्स की बात करें तो इन टर्म्स ऑफ डाउनलोड ये फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग ऐप बन चुका है. बट अगर ट्विटर की बात करें तो जो लॉयल यूजर्स हैं ट्विटर के वो अभी भी ट्विटर को ही यूज कर रहे हैं. सो इन दिस एपिसोड इट्स गोना बी ऑल अबाउट ट्विटर वर्सेस थ्रेड्स. और इस बैटल ऑफ बिलियनर्स में मैं अकेली नहीं हूँ, मेरे साथ जुड़ने वाले हैं यू नो माई फ्रेंड्स. दे आर फ्रॉम बिजनेस टुडे टीम. सो वेलकम गाइज. आई हैव विद मी अर्नव, डैनी एंड प्रणव. वेलकम टू द शो गाइज. And I'm going to start with you, Arnav, because I think you are super active on Threads. So what do you like most about it?
Tanya, as you know, we are in being active on Twitter for the longest time. One thing that I faced the most was being trolled. Okay. The negativity on Twitter was immense, and it has only grown tenfold since Musk took over. Absolutely. Ever since I came on Threads, believe you me, that entire negativity has come down. I am not being trolled, and I am super happy about this. Okay. So this was the biggest positive takeaway that I had after I joined Threads, and I think there are several more other reasons behind it as well. But this is the biggest thing. I mean, imagine this. For us being on social media, being trolled, the negativity surrounding it was like an everyday thing, right? And now suddenly you are having a proper humane conversation with people around you, right? This was unheard of. Absolutely. So in that same way, I think I'm going to stick around with Threads now for a while.
Okay. Do you agree, Pranav?
I think coming on the topic of mental health and being trolled on social media, I feel yes, sure, Threads might have less of trolls as of now, but that's because of the policy that Meta has in place, because it's based on Instagram. So yes, sure, the trolls will be less. But I believe that Twitter has more free speech, and that is certainly something that people should look for when they're looking for social media, whereas Threads does not have that. And yes, it might have a cleaner interface as of now, but as Adam Mosseri, Instagram CEO, said that they will be introducing ads at some point, and we all know how our Instagram feeds look like as of now. It's all just 2 posts and then 2 ads, then a post, then an ad, right? So that's one of the major things.
This is the first time Twitter has a real rival. There has been Mastodon, there has been Coup in India, there's been Blue Sky, which is still like inviting people very slowly. So I'm assuming that there's no other competition in the market right now apart from Threads, and that's primarily because they are piggybacking on Instagram, and that has worked for them. In the very first week, they managed to get 100 million users, which is like extraordinary when it comes to social media platforms. It managed to beat ChatGPT, which was the disruptor, I feel, in this decade. But still, does it really signify success for Threads? I'm not very sure, because lately there have been instances where the daily active users on Threads are going down. But I have a feeling that it's still too early for us to decide. But what has the experience been for you guys? Like personally, what do you feel about your following, your engagement, your impressions on Twitter versus Threads?
See, one thing I want to highlight, and that is ever since this Elon Musk takeover happened on Twitter. See, I've been active on Twitter since the day it launched, way back in 2009, I think, right? And in this last 10 years, I amassed a good, considerable amount of followers, got a blue tick and all of that. Then ever since this takeover happened and the slew of changes that Musk initiated on Twitter, it just completely blew up it just completely demolished my engagement rate. Because there was this one point when I would tweet and I would get a good, healthy engagement rate, but then suddenly all of that, right now, for example, if I tweet, the the most engagement rate that I got was 109 people who have just seen it, which was crazy. It has never happened before. Earlier, back in the day, 1,000 views on one particular tweet was a minimum. Right? Threads, on the other hand, ever since I came over there, uh, it has been phenomenal because right now my followers are growing by leaps and bounds, while I understand that many of them are also following me on Instagram. But what has also happened is that because I've become much more active on Threads, I've been putting up content much more daily, so a lot of people who never followed me or never knew about me on Instagram have started coming over to my profile. So I think that's a great thing.
We had a chat before about this, and you said that somehow Threads reminds you of Orkut.
Yes.
I'm still very curious. I think our viewers will be too. Like, what is it about?
One of the reasons why I said that Threads reminds me of Orkut is because if you remember, back in the day when all of us, our entire social media life actually began with Orkut. That was the first ever experience that we had with social media as an entity. When I first joined Orkut, the first ever, I remember the first year when I was there, it was so lovely. I completely understand it did not have any of those features that later on came onto Facebook, like direct messaging, for instance. You had a very simple user interface. You had scraps, right? People whom you are friends with would either post on scraps or reply, or you had the option of replying to the scraps. And that's it. That was all that was there. And Threads, I know I'm going to be qualifying this by saying that in the near future, very soon, all of these, the simple user interface of Threads will go away. I understand that. Adam Mosseri has already hinted at that. But as of now, the very simplicity of its usage, the fact that it does not take long for you to actually get addicted to it, is sort of reminds me, of that innocence-filled school days when I was on Orkut. So, from that perspective, from that nostalgic perspective, I think is what I feel. Is why I think it reminds me of Orkut, at least as of now. What it will become tomorrow, I don't know. But yes, that's the thing. What do you have to say?
I think that was aggressive, but I feel like in terms of engagement rate, right? We were talking engagement, and as somebody who is on social media, you are pretty much, especially as a brand, always looking for engagement rate.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, while I agree that right now, according to multiple reports, there is a 4:1 ratio in terms of if you're getting 4 engagement on Threads, you're getting only 1 of it on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the case because it's such a hullabaloo because the app has just launched and it's launched by Meta, who already owns Facebook, it already owns Instagram, already owns WhatsApp. So I feel like that's the starting rage that has sort of built up. And also because yes, there are certain things that have happened in Twitter in the past year, right? But I feel like it will all balance out. The engagement rate and everything, ultimately it all balances out in the end in terms of social medias. But we should all remember that Meta is still that company in the past decade that I've heard about all the time in news and even in general when talking to people is data scraping, right? In the past decade, how many times have we heard it's only that one company that comes to mind which does all the data scraping. The data privacy practices are so bad. And Threads is an Instagram product and which is owned by Meta. So I feel like we all have to remember where it is coming from. It is coming from the same company that built Facebook, which, if we talk about Facebook, it had a potato page as their one of their top 5 pages, right? So the algorithm is messed up and there are barely any people left there who are engaging, especially the younger generation. So I feel like it will all balance out in the end. And I think with Twitter, it feels like a lot of news is there on Twitter. If there is an earthquake in a city, if there is something happening that is super newsy, you can immediately go on Twitter, you can go to the trending page, you can even search not just worldwide, but according to your city, right? Which I believe are some of the features that are not even there remotely present in Threads. So I feel like the connection, the instant connection that I have with the world is through Twitter, and that will not change. And also the data practices, again, Meta has not had a good track record of it. So
I have a feeling like yes, Twitter versus Threads is a big deal, but the underlying conflict between these two platforms is the two personalities behind these two platforms, which is Musk and Zuckerberg. Both are very controversial characters, be it Musk, who is like a little excessive in that way, but even Zuckerberg has faced a lot of allegations in his long career in the tech industry. But I have a feeling that this all boils down to the personality of these two people. Musk, who claims to be a free speech enthusiast, who who says that there shouldn't be any moderators, and on the other hand, Zuckerberg gives this image of a very non-controversial and a relatable person, but at the same time, a lot of reports in the past have indicated otherwise. So I have a feeling it's all about these two billionaires who like have a lot of power in their hands, and it could also now went out in their two platforms. Like,
So it's gonna be battle of billionaires. Who's gonna win it, according to you, Arnav?
I think Zuck. Zuck will win it.
Okay, what about you?
Elon Musk, hands down. He doesn't care what he writes, and usually what he writes, it's pretty fun and entertaining at the very least. So
Okay, what about you, Dan?
I want to be balanced, but I don't think I can be. I want Zuckerberg to win.
Okay, absolutely. Time will tell only who will win. But thank you so much, guys, for such a wonderful discussion. And thanks for participating in this battle. Thank you so much. So, with that, it's a wrap up. Thank you so much for watching this special episode and stay tuned for all the latest market updates. Many thanks for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.